This is a Vangriot production.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Mother's Day blessings to my Aunt Freddie, who has been like a mother to me, especially since my mother's passing. My Aunt Joan, my stepmother Ruby, my sisters, very dear family and friends across the globe. To Joy, Albert, Beverly, and Miss Joyce, the man and the main women who cared for and protected my babies while they were growing up. After almost 40 years, they are still members of our family. Back in Jamaica, we may call them helpers, but they have been the unsung heroes in our precious children's lives. To Brittany, Angie, and Marsha, who with the loving assistance of my 3 sons became mothers to 5 of my beautiful grandchildren. To my daughter Keisha, who adopted me as one of her mothers. To my baby girl Shaunan. For both, I must gratefully say it is only by grace that they gave birth to their beautiful daughters. To the women and men who have mothered without ever bearing a child, I honor and appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day.
You're listening to This Is MVM, a podcast series coming to you from beautiful British Columbia, Canada. And now, here are your hosts, Michelle St. Hill, Vanessa Williams, and Maryann Pyne. This is MVM.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I don't know where you are today, but I am so excited to be bringing to you this fabulous new platform and opportunity to share with my girlfriends some wonderful stories because we own them. So my name is Michelle St. Hill and I live in beautiful British Columbia, hail originally from England, of Caribbean parents from Trinidad and Tobago. And this has been a passion of ours for some time. We've been talking about it. So my 2 girlfriends and I decided that we were going to absolutely do something to bring a fresh view to our generation. Here we are, women who are mid-century. Yeah, I know we don't really look it, do we? But anyway, that's for us to know and you to find out. So we are mid-century in age, thereabouts. Some of us a little older and some of us just hovering on being there right now. So without further ado, let me introduce my first girlfriend to you, Miss V.
Hello, everyone. I am the V in MVM. So glad that you can join us today. My name is Vanessa Williams. I am originally from the Caribbean. I'm a mother of 2, and I enjoy, and I must say, I love living in beautiful British Columbia. Looking forward to hearing from you. Looking forward to you sharing your stories with us. And yes, we are going to own our stories. Moving on to the beautiful Maryann. She is the M in MVM. I'm not sure which one, but here she is.
This is Maryann, of course, otherwise known as Bonnie Pyne. I am one of the M's in MVM. I hail from Jamaica, via Bermuda. I was conceived on the rock and born in Bermuda, but I am through and through Jamaican, living in beautiful BC, mother of 4+ children and 6+ grandchildren. I am really excited being part of what we're doing here and just looking forward to hearing from all of you. I love life and I love what it is that we're about to embark on. Michelle is going to take over now and get into our theme for today, which is Mother's Day.
Thank you, Maryann. Bonnie Pyne. Yes. So I am Michelle. I'm the other M in MVM. I forgot to introduce myself entirely, but I am the mother to 2 wonderful children and the grandmother, but actually I'm a granny to a wonderful baby grandson, my first. So we were talking as girlfriends and just having a chat about Mother's Day, and we thought that we would highlight some of the stories from our life about our ladies, the people who came before us, who have allowed us this platform. And we just thought that we will tell you some stories because that is it. We have the stories. So I'll start off with mine. Born to a mother in the UK who probably thought that she was going to go right back to the Caribbean after she finished her secretarial training, but she didn't. She met my father, and the rest is history. So my mother, as we've said before, we all have stories, and some stories are best left alone, and some stories we are comfortable in sharing. But at some point, we have to remember that we have to respect some of the other people who may not want their stories broadcasted. But, I believe that my mother did an amazing job at raising my brother and I. She did it all on her own. And do I ever think that I was left out of anything? No, she did the best she could. She worked really hard. And I feel like I had a really good upbringing. I never felt poor, broke, or hungry. My mother was always there for me. And, sometimes as grown-ups, we can look back and think, wow, my mother did this, or, oh, I wish my mother had done that. Well, being raised in a country with people who didn't look like us and having to fit the Caribbean culture into the British system was probably quite challenging. But as mothers go, she did the best she could. But now my granny was the cook. My granny cooked. That's where I learned to eat green food. Callaloo. I can't imagine as a child. Can you imagine really loving callaloo? I did. But my granny left England and went back when I was 11. And every time I saw her after that was when I went to visit the beautiful island of Trinidad. So yeah, that was my granny and my mom. Hey, what about you?
My mom was pretty young when she had me, and she raised me on her own. No, I wouldn't say that. She had help because I don't know if you would call it privilege but I knew 5 generations of women. In my day, there were 5 of us alive. And so that was a great thing for me. Now, that's not going to happen with my daughter in the picture. So my mom did it on her own with the help of my grandmother and great-grandmother. And my mom and I never once had a disagreement. Never. I'm still surprised to this day that we have never had a disagreement. She did her best. We were not rich. We are from the tiny village in the Caribbean, island of St. Vincent. But like Michelle mentioned before, we were never hungry. So we may not have had the Kentucky Fried Chicken or, the comfort of the snacks, but we had our 3 square meals. And my granny, I felt like sometimes she was mainly my mom because she was the one who did all the discipline. Discipline us. If I did anything, and my mom would always sit there quiet. And so, but boy, that woman, I can take a whole day telling you about her. Very strong. I think sometimes too overpowering, but that was my grandmother. She loved me nonetheless and did what she had to do for us. She's no longer with us. It's just my mom. And I wish I can see my mom. It has been a while. As you know, I'm here in British Columbia and she is still in the Caribbean in St. Vincent. But I'm very thankful for the person that they've molded me to become today. And I will be forever grateful to my grandmother. Maryann, how about you?
Well, my beginnings is a story that one of these days I might tell. But my mother too was quite young when she had me, and she got pregnant when she was in Jamaica. My grandmother, she was in boarding school. My grandmother had agreed to her marrying my dad before she got pregnant, and for whatever reason, which I understand as a mother and the age of my mother, my grandmother agreed, and then she decided no, that wasn't going to happen. They, in their wisdom, decided that, well, being that mom was Catholic, if mommy got pregnant, because this is what they wanted to do, then my grandmother would have to say yes to the marriage. Well, that didn't work out. And my grandmother took my mother and her sister, my aunt, to Bermuda, and I happened to be born there. I lived with my mother until I was about 7. My grandmother insisted that I go back to Jamaica to go to school. She thought schooling was better there. But the years that I spent with my mother in Bermuda, it was I guess I was the apple of her eye. I'm the only child she ever had. She never did get back with my dad, but he was the only man that she ever loved, and she didn't want any more children. But the first 7 years with her were beautiful. We had a very special bond. Every other Sunday we would go. There was this really nice hotel, and they would have a band on a Sunday afternoon, and we'd go there for dinner, and we would dance. We would dance the night away, and I'd have my little Shirley Temples as a little kid. And I think of that. I think of the times when we used to go to the beach. That was the go-to for us. If I lost a tooth, if I wasn't feeling well, the beach healed everything. So I have that. And then, of course, I went to Jamaica with my grandmother. Growing up with my grandmother, she was strict. That's a whole other story. Lovely woman, kind to a fault, but very domineering as well. So there was that period with her. There was another period with my mother. Love them dearly. I can't say that I never had any disagreements with my mom. I certainly can't say I never had any disagreements with my grandmother, but we made it through. I lost both my grandmother and my mother. My grandmother back in 92, my mother back in 93. She was only 50. And so for me, this Mother's Day is a bittersweet day. It will be my mother's birthday on the 9th, same day as Mother's Day. And my heart will be happy and it will be heavy all at the same time, because that's just how it is. You know, you both are very fortunate to have your mothers still in your life.
Absolutely, for sure. I was just, as I listened to both of my two girlfriends speaking, and I think, how fortunate you are to be able to tell your truth. And, I sat at the beginning of this thinking that, I have to protect my mother for her story. And Vanessa said, she's never had a crossword with her mother. And unfortunately for me, I've had a few, and I'm probably going to actually hope that this podcast never gets listened to by my mother, for the simple reason being that I didn't have the luxury of that which you guys had. My joy, probably is a more of a security blanket that's what I yearned for and that's what I wished for. My mother did the best she could, but I was in foster care until I was about 3.5 years old, which is part of the story that isn't common knowledge. But, if we're being honest, open, people had to do what they had to do. And unfortunately, my mother's story, she has not been of the generation who talks a lot, very proud. And so therefore, I don't know the complete story. I just know the bits and pieces that I've been able to put together in this jigsaw of life and come up with how it must have taken place. But, unfortunately, she had not told my father that I was even born or that she was pregnant. So therefore, not telling her father meant she also didn't tell her mother, and told one brother that she was going to have a child and she was putting me up for adoption. So it's a very interesting spot to be in when I think about mothers and Mother's Day and what that must have felt like for her to have to actually live this life and hide me, because she didn't tell anybody. They didn't find out about me till I was probably about 4 years old. So none of her family knew I even existed. Not only did my father not know, but my mother's people didn't know. And so I really will put this podcast on lockdown so that I don't have to. My mother is still alive, and it's not that I want to hurt her. But, we've had our disagreements on the subject matter, because I have to think of presentism. There was my mother in a time where things were different to what they are now. And here we embrace our children who may fall pregnant. We love our children. We may want different for them, but life is what it is. But my mother, unfortunately, she didn't feel that she was able, with 6 older brothers, to come forward and say that she was pregnant in a country all on her own. So it is what it is. But, I love her nonetheless. Her story is hers. One day she might tell me what ended up really happening. But for the meantime, I was probably, 3.5 when I actually went to live with my mom. So there goes that. Sorry. Busted the bubble. You know, we all put on this is Mother's Day, and we all want to make sure that our lives are so, you know, we now have children. And I mean, here we are as mothers loving our children and wanting the best for them, and our mothers loving us, but they've had sacrifices to make, and they've had situations that they've had to actually accept and live through. So it is very unfortunate that I couldn't feel as joyous. You know, we fake it till we make it. And that was the intro to MVM. We got real right there.
Well, you know, it's not even faking it till you make it, right? It's just that all of us, we come from different circumstances. And for the most part, we have absolutely no control over it. I know for my mom, I mean, her pain after being separated from my father was so deep, and I didn't know the half of it or recognize the half of it until she passed away, because till this day I don't know whether or not my mother committed suicide, and it was never conclusive, you know. And I know that she hurt from losing him, the love of her life. She hurt from the role that my grandmother played, and she hurt from me being taken away from her. She felt she had no control. She was an adult, but she still was a child because she had me when she was young, you know. And I remember at a certain point in my life, I was saying to myself, but why would she have done that? And then becoming a mother and having my own daughter and thinking about what my grandmother must have gone through with her baby girl being pregnant at the tender age. She had me just before she turned 16, you know. So I realized that my mom was just a babe. She was just a babe and caught up in circumstances. And yes, she never loved anyone else, but it wasn't necessarily the right thing for her. But you know, we live and we learn, and we hope that we don't make some of the mistakes that our mothers, our caregivers, our grandmothers, our grannies made. But we make our own mistakes, and we make them, and we beg forgiveness, you know. And my famous line, well, I didn't get a manual with you, you know, so you got problems? No, child, I did my best. You ain't gonna have to fix it yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's one thing that you and V have in common then, the age of your mothers.
Yes, certainly. Yes. My thinking is always, I can't imagine what my mom felt like back in those days when you get pregnant that young and you didn't get married. Everybody talked about you. I can't imagine the shame she would have carried. Everybody talking. And my dad didn't do right by her, and he was twice her age. And sometimes maybe I wish I was like Michelle, where I didn't know my father, where he didn't play any part in my life, where my mother probably had to give me up, because what was the purpose of him? So now becoming a mother as well, when you find out you're becoming a mother, and now you have to think about, I don't want to go through, well, first of all, I was hoping that I wouldn't get pregnant right out of high school. So but my mom wasn't disappointed. When I told my mom, she asked me the question again just for me to confirm, and she is never, and I'm so thankful for the support, because I know a lot of young mothers don't get that kind of support when they're pregnant with their first child. And so she did her best, even though she was a child when she got me, just like Maryann. Yeah, man, the stories can go on and on, I'm sure. But they did their best.
My dad was older too, but the thing was, they always loved each other. And my grandmother, being the type of person that she was, she threatened him. And when my grandmother had brought this girl from Jamaica to Bermuda to take care of me, take care of the home, and while my mom was pregnant, And my mom would write these letters to my dad, and Ruby would give them to my grandmother. So Daddy didn't hear, and my grandmother told him she would kill him. She would kill him, or she'd pay somebody to kill him. So after about 2 or 3 years, I think he and his sister left on a banana boat and went to England. And they never made contact again until I think my mom went to a party in New York. I was about 17, and she saw one of his brothers at the party, and that's how we got connected. And it was the first time he flew on a plane coming to see me in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. That, by that time he had some more children. He had sent pictures, and he came to visit, and I could feel the love. He wasn't there. He wasn't able to be a part of my mother's life. However, I still think, for me as a man, I think I would have taken that chance and come to Bermuda. She'd have to kill me, but hey, I can say anything, right? But one would have hoped that he would have just said, you know what, I love her, I want this child, and I'll deal with what I have to deal with. So it's hard sometimes. You go through some things, you find out a little bit of history of yourself, and you wonder what if, but hey, we're here today. We can talk about it without breaking down. I know for me, living with my grandmother was not necessarily the easiest thing for me, because my grandmother's parenting skills versus my mother's parenting skills, she used to chalk, like, enough beating, whole heap of beating. And sometimes you just saying, okay, what did I do? I have no clue what I did. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I'm still here to tell the tale.
100%, right? And that's part of the gratitude.
Yeah, it is.
It's part of being grateful. I mean, I am grateful that my mother came for me and didn't leave me in the foster care family system forever. I am grateful that I was able to grow up with my mother, in the sense that, I did have some friends I went to school with in England who were left in the childcare system because their parents did exactly what that my mother did, had become pregnant out of wedlock and could not go back to whether it be Ghana, Nigeria, or the Caribbean with this child. So they literally left the child or the children in the UK and went about their life as if nothing had ever happened. So I have to be grateful for the fact that, whether my mother got outed or whether she came for me, whatever way it happened, I know the story I've been told, and basically she got outed. So there was, but it is what it is. But I am still grateful that my mother is my mother. I mean, that's 100% without a doubt. Yes, I am still grateful that she is my mother.
For the little time that I did have with my mom, I am so grateful.
Mama. Mommy. Mom. Mother. Mom. Oh my God, Mom. Mommy. Mom. However you say it, with whatever feeling, the feeling that is always behind it is one of love. And that's all you've ever given, Mum. Love. Plenty of it, unreservedly, unrestricted love. And that's what I give you. I love you, my mummy. I cherish you. You are precious to me. You're precious to your grandson. And he adores his nonna. We love you. Happy Mother's Day.
I have a question though, that I'd like to ask the both of you. We all have children, but what is that one thing that you wish your child or your children knew about you? it's Mother's Day. And if you, it could be either something that they know about you or something that they know that you would appreciate.
So one of the things I would like my children to know is that 100% that I would do anything for them. I would, and everything I have ever done was with them in mind. I've never done anything selfishly thinking it would just be for the better of me. And that they were conceived in love, even though the relationship is not, with their father is not what it was. Their father and I still have a mutual respect and love for each other. And they were conceived 100% in love. And I will go to the end of this world for them. Hence why I'm still in British Columbia, because this is where they live. So, I think that's probably it. Maryann, what about you?
You know what? Somewhat along the same lines as you, Michelle, that just to know that, they were conceived in love. And even though their father and I have not been together for a very long time, and forever and ever, amen, that is the way it shall be. However, I would do anything for them. Anything at all within my power. You at the end of the day, you want to know that your children are happy and healthy and successful, living their true life and living it with joy.
So did any of you have, because in England, Mother's Day is actually in March. It's the second Sunday in March. And on this continent and in the Caribbean, I believe the Caribbean follows the American. Am I correct? They follow.
Yes.
Right.
It'll be May 9th this year.
Right. So this year's May 9th. So check this out. Here's something for consideration. I was watching a show on TV, and I don't know whether or not, we can always cut the title, but it was 90 Day Fiance, right? And I thought it was really, I don't know how I got involved in that show, because my daughter, that's her guilty pleasure. So whenever I'm babysitting, when baby's having a nap, I watch that show. So there was one episode, girl has moved from Russia to marry a guy. He lives, I'm not even sure which state it is. And they chose a particular Sunday to get married. And his parents were absolutely couldn't have that day because that was Mother's Day. But if Mother's Day falls on the second Sunday of May, doesn't that mean it falls on a different date every year?
It most certainly does.
So they were so wrapped up in it being that year, that day was Mother's Day, that they kiboshed the fact, is that a word, kiboshed? Anyway, they kiboshed the fact that they didn't want this girl to have this wedding, but she wanted her family to be able to arrive. And that was the number, it was numerical for her, it had a meaning. And it was to do with something when her and the boyfriend or the fiance met. But I couldn't understand that. So who owns Mother's Day? Is Mother's Day only for mothers, or is Mother's Day a date?
To my mind, Mother's Day is a date, but I think you have to look a little bit at the mother herself. I mean, for me, I would think that would be such a joyous occasion, and as you said, you rightly say, it's not going to repeat. I mean, once in a while it does. It's like my mother's birthday is May 9th. So this year, Mother's Day and Mommy's birthday is on the same day. But it doesn't happen every year, and I think there's more to it than that. That sounds a little selfish to me. And at the end of the day, it's her wedding, and you would think if you love her, then you would do everything within your power to make this happen for her. It was like there's a girl at work, and she's always wanted to elope. And there was a plan for the wedding and getting all of the family together. And of course, COVID came in, and then they decided, okay, well, we're going to scale it down a bit. And then COVID got kind of out of hand. Last week, on the 13th, she had the wedding of her dreams. Helicopter to the mountaintop. Her husband to be the photographer, the helicopter pilot. Life was good. Pictures are beautiful. And of course, the family kind of had to be like, hey, it's COVID. We wouldn't have been able to make it anyway. But the point is, though, that I think for a wedding, even if my daughter said to me that she wanted to get married and she was going to elope, you know what? Hey, I just want to know that they're happy, that they made the right choices between them. And I can live with whatever it is.
I think you're quite right there. I think we have to absolutely 100% be able to step back and say, this is not about us. This is not our day. We may want to invite the world to celebrate, but you know what? Sometimes the children really don't know the people that we want to invite. I mean, both of you were at my daughter's wedding, but really, when we think about it, you are my friend. And yes, my daughter may know you, but you were my friend, and that's why you came to celebrate the joy for me. Right? And that's why I invited you, because it was celebrating my daughter's union. But I didn't really think about whether or not my daughter would have wanted you or not wanted you there. She didn't have a say in that matter, did she? Let me see. Maybe. Yeah, no, she didn't. Anyway, But
she had a little bit of say. You could have had more people there.
But you know what I mean. But you know what I'm saying. It's like, that was all said in jest, because of course they would have had a say. But we as parents who we're given X amount of leeway. It's like, okay, you can invite X amount of people. So you choose carefully. You invite people there that you love, that you want to be there to share in that special moment. But it was very sad for this young lady. I don't know what's happened. I haven't seen the next episode. But she wanted this wedding on this date, and she had come all the way from Russia. As to why the mother was so protective, but she also, the son was a little bit of a mummy's boy, so she was really trying to hold on to him much more so than let him go.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't even watch those shows. Seriously, I do not. I can't. I remember going to a friend's house one day, and she had it on, and I looked at her, and I'm like, seriously? You know how many books you have in this place, man? Pick up a book.
Well, actually, I'll say this to you, Maryann. You don't know what you're missing. Moving on. So, Vanessa, what traditions? You see, I just like, fine, Maryann, whatever. But so, Vanessa, what do you feel about that? I mean, because you said you grew up in the country. So how did you guys celebrate Mother's Day?
We didn't. This is an American thing. It's only now with social media and all, you hear everybody saying Happy Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day. But when I was growing up, I don't even remember anybody saying it was Mother's Day. Like, you know how they have celebration in churches and things like that? Nope. Sometimes, man, you didn't even get your birthday celebrated. Is Mother's Day they're gonna celebrate? Cha. Anyways, but yeah, now they do a lot because, everybody's watching American television. Back in the day, we didn't have television, so we didn't know what day was what day. And when you go to school, you know what day it was. But it's good that they celebrate it now. I've never given my mother a Mother's Day card or Mother's Day gift because it's not something that we celebrated. However, I have two here waiting to give to her. One was for last year, one for this year. First time.
Wow.
Never thought of it.
We celebrated Mother's Day in Jamaica, so it's something that I grew up with, and then coming to Canada, yeah. But I think what's more important, and I mean, it's great. You have Mother's Day, you have Father's Day. I think though, it's nice to do something special, but I think what's more important is the relationship you have throughout the rest of the year. Some people make a big deal of, lavish presents and so on and so forth, and it will be for the one day, and maybe they don't even communicate for the rest of the year, or maybe they communicate at Christmas time. I think really what's important is that relationship that you have. And at some point in time, like each one of us spoke about the challenges that we may have had growing up. And, Vanessa, you were fortunate not to have differences with your mom. But at the end of the day, there's some people that carry grievances into their old age, and they have that bitterness within them. And I think at some point, as you become an adult, you really need to take stock of the situation, and you look at this, where they're coming from and what was going on in their lives, and perhaps try and get an insight as to why they behaved the way that they did. So I personally believe it's a relationship that you maintain throughout the year. It's the respect that you show to that person who was your mother or mother figure. It is it's just having that love in your heart. You may not always get along. You may still have your disagreements, but it's that mutual respect and just that love towards your mother.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. The one thing that I'm grateful for from my mom is her unconditional love, which she has given to me through my years. And now that I'm in, an emerging adult, that love still remains. And that love comes in different ways, whether it's, giving advice, supporting me, or even, teaching me a lesson here or there. That is one thing that I am grateful for, that my mother has shared with me, is, her love, which, has leaps and bounds and is never endless. So thank you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Mommy. I just want you to know that you are loved and deeply cared for. I appreciate the endless sacrifices you have made for me and for Davery. You have always put us first. I know that we did not make it easy for you when we were younger, but I promise that I will do my best to make up for those times. The best memories I have of you were the times when you would come home for Christmas. Davery and I would rush out of the house to see you when we heard Bobson saying, "Mom, Mom, Nikki, Mom, Mom." I was over the moon to hear those words. Not because you would bring us home treats such as Toblerone and mini Reese's Pieces, but because you would spend all day playing with us, and then you would snuggle us to sleep. I love you, Mom, and you did a wonderful job raising us on your own. You should be proud. Happy Mother's Day.
And I know that not just our mothers, right? For those of us who have children, then we also had the influence of our mother-in-laws. And my mother-in-law was a great woman, very strong, had also had her own challenges. And unfortunately, we lost her last year and were not able to celebrate her passing. So at this time, I would like to say that, we, MVM, would like to tell everybody out there that for some people, this Mother's Day is going to be really hard because we haven't been able to see our parents, our mothers. We've had losses. Some of us have even lost our mothers or our grandmothers. So, we here are thinking of you and sending you great uplifting hugs, virtual hugs, and just want you to know that, follow us through this journey, learn a lot more about us, and we'll be here to support you. Share your stories with us and give us an opportunity to showcase somebody that you have been touched by, whether it be your mother, your grandmother, or someone who was a surrogate, because as we all know, not every mother gave birth to us, so I think that, so the gratitude that we all have, it's a wonderful time to be living, and the fact that we can say that here we are healthy during this pandemic, we are really working on following rules and guidelines and stuff like that. But how blessed we are to be able to, 1 year later, to still be, able to be somewhat joyous. As hard as things have been, we're grateful.
Yes, for my mom, this Mother's Day, she wouldn't be spending it in her home. Not only they're dealing with COVID in St. Vincent, they're dealing with a volcanic eruption. So right now they're displaced, and luckily, thank goodness for social media, and we are able to talk every day. And my mom hardly makes a decision without running it by me. That's the kind of relationship that we have, and I'm very grateful. And for those of us who have relationship like that, let's continue to give thanks. For those of us who need to work on our relationship with our mothers, maybe we might want to use this Mother's Day to do so. I'm not here telling anybody what to do. It's just a suggestion. And let's continue to do our best. Now that we are mothers, we know what it feels like. So I want to take this time to wish everyone out there who are listening a very happy and blessed Mother's Day 2021.
Yes, it's a blessing to bless our mothers and our mother-in-laws. I mean, my mother-in-law, she started calling me her daughter-in-love, and I've carried on the tradition with my daughter-in-laws, because we're outlaws, so we're not dealing with this law business. Strictly love. And she had her challenges too, but we had a really, really good relationship. And sometimes, you hear some horror stories, but I think you just have to look within.
Well, that's a wonderful place to be. So we're gracious, we have gratitude, we have good health. Did we miss anything? Is there anything that we should be saying? So come on, ladies. What else would we want to tell the people out there for Mother's Day? And how about this? How did you feel? Vanessa, how did you? Oh no, maybe I'm not going to ask Vanessa this question.
Oh boy, here we go. What's the question? Come on, come with the question. Come with it, girl.
Okay, I'm going to go there, but I was going to say, so how did you feel when you first found out that you were pregnant or that you were going to be a grandmother? So I can't ask the grandmother question to V. So I got to ask you, how did you feel when you first found out you were pregnant, when you could become a mother? Or how did you feel when you found that you were going to become a mother? How about that?
Okay, when I found out, of course, the traditional way, I was scared because I just finished high school, and I knew I was going to disappoint my mother because I was the first to go to high school from the family. And I told a friend, and then the friend told my mother. She couldn't even wait for me to open my mouth to tell my mommy. And and I was bracing myself. I thought, oh my God, I am so gonna get a beating because I was young. And I thought my grandmother, when she told my grandmother, she was gonna have it. And my grandfather said that I have to leave. My grandmother said, no, where's she gonna go? And I love that story. And so I just try to be the best daughter that I could be then. And yes, at first I wasn't too happy, but when I realized I got a baby girl, because back then you didn't find out until you give birth, I'm like, yay, I have my own live doll. I can, play with her hair, comb her hair, And yes, and so I was happy from then because of the fact that I had the support of my family, and they seem okay with it, right? Despite disappointments. And so from then I was happy, especially when I found out it was a baby girl. Oh, bless my heart. Yes, I was really happy then, and I really didn't know what it was like becoming a mother. My mother didn't talk to me about her experiences as a mother. I don't know if she didn't know how to express herself, or she just felt, she's going to learn her lessons her way. And it didn't come with a manual. I just had to learn as I go along. And if I may say so myself, I think I did a pretty good job.
I would agree with you.
Yes. So Maryann, at first, it wasn't the happiest of feelings, but yes, after birth, it was.
Well, I'm going to speak from being a grandmother. My first grandchild is going to be 14 on April 23rd. And it was a bag of emotions, that much I'll say. And then because there were certain things that health-wise we going on with my daughter, we weren't sure that she would come to full term. So I referred to her as Tumbelina when she was in her mother's tummy because she was so tiny and she kept moving. But you know what? We were truly blessed, and she came out healthy, lively, perfect. And since then, I have, from my 4 children, I have a total of 6 grandchildren so far. I have a daughter that adopted me, and she has a little girl. So, The siblings I never had, I now have a family of my own, of, children, grandchildren, their partners, and life is good. So I when talking about gratitude, I am very grateful for my family, and I am very grateful for all of you.
Thank you. I am excited to be here and grateful to be here as well.
Well, when I can remember when I was becoming a mother very clearly, and it had been a little bit of pressure. So when are you guys going to have the when are you going to? And I had, my first baby was my salon. I opened the shop, and so that was my first baby. But then when I found out I was pregnant, I remember it was a Sunday morning, and we called my mum first, and then we called my mother-in-law. And it was, excited because, we did a pregnancy test at home, because by this time you could do those, sticks. So we did one of those, and had my firstborn was a boy, and followed by the same graciousness when my daughter was born. I was elated. We tricked the doctor into believing we wanted another boy, because we just figured it would be easy to just say, well, we want a boy, because what's the chance of actually being lucky enough to have what they would call a millionaire family and have a boy and a girl. So when they said it was a girl, and they looked at us and we started crying, they weren't sure if we were happy or sad. But and then of course now I have my fabulous grandson, who, oh my goodness, I couldn't be more happy, because I get to spoil him. I don't have to worry about disciplining him in the same way as I did my children. I am there to be his grandmother. His parents will parent him, and I will be his grandmother. So I'm going to be the fun one. When mommy and daddy, when you upset them, you can come to granny.
Mom, I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you do for me and my family. I always remember you would work so hard to make sure that I could always pursue any dreams that I wanted to. Through high school, you worked hairdressing and always a second job to ensure that you could pay for my dance lessons. When I graduated and wanted to take on makeup, you made sure that I didn't have to take out a student loan and be in debt for years. I appreciate you so much, and I just wanted to say thank you and let you know that I love you.
So I wanted to start by saying Happy Mother's Day to my lovely mother. I love you, Mom. You're the first woman I've ever loved, and the first woman to love me. And you've never let me forget it, so I never will. One of the fondest memories I have of my mom and I was when we lived in Ontario. My dad moved out to Vancouver first to get work set up and everything, and for us to follow a few months later. And my mom would take my sister and I to church every Sunday. We would go to Sunday school, and afterwards she would take us to Robin's Donuts, which is a donut shop in Ontario, and we would get a donut. And if we had a good week at school, which my sister usually did and I sometimes did, we could also get a hot chocolate. Then she would take us to the Blue Bin, and we would get to pick out a toy. And my mom knows what the Blue Bin is, and it's something that stuck with me as one of my fonder memories. Also, as I got a little bit older, my mom used to take me at night with her when she would be delivering products or picking up products from clients. And I always thought that was really cool, because I was in middle school or high school, and my mom would let me come out with her at night, and we'd have a chance to talk and connect. And just some of the memories that kind of stick with you as you grow older, and you always find yourself looking back and just remembering how much you cherish the really simple memories you have. So I love you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. And I don't need to say it, but you are the best mom in the entire world. I love you.
I am very grateful for my 4 children, of course. I've got 3 boys and a girl, and being pregnant for the first time seemed to be the most natural thing in the world for me, and it's been that way. And having children has been a true joy. Having my grandchildren and all of the other grandchildren to come have been such a joy. I've got a daughter that adopted me, and she has a daughter, so my heart is full. I have the company now that I didn't have growing up as an only child, and I am very, very grateful for that, and I am grateful for all of you.
Thank you. Grateful for you too. Big hugs.
I am proud of my children. I celebrate them in the highs and I celebrate them in the low. Michelle knows this. I complain when I have to, and I talk about them when they do good things. So I have a girl and a boy. My girl is the first, and I'm very, very proud of her today. And my son, he's on his way. He'll get there one day. But I love them unconditionally. I would do anything for both of them equally.
Hello, beautiful people. This is JudiLew, aka JudiLew, executive producer at Vangriot. You have been listening to This Is MVM, and we are so happy that you joined us today. If you enjoyed today's programming and wish to show your support, we'd love it if you would start by liking, sharing, following, and commenting on any of our social media channels. You can find This Is MVM on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at MVM Stories. That's MVM Stories. You could have been anywhere, but today you chose to spend a little time with us, and we want to thank you again for listening. Be sure to tell your friends and family about This Is MVM. Happy Mother's Day. And now back to Michelle St. Hill, Vanessa Williams, and Maryann Pyne for the wrap-up. Ladies...
Thank you so much for listening to us today. Here's wishing you a fabulous Mother's Day 2021. This is the Michelle from the MVM series. We are so excited to be here with you today, wishing you a wonderful Mother's Day. So goodbye until next time. Please follow, please share with a friend, please hit subscribe.
Vanessa Williams here, thanking you for joining us today. We wish you a very happy Mother's Day. Please remember to follow us, subscribe, tell a friend. Until next time.
This is Maryann. In the meantime, in between time, looking forward to hearing from you and talking to you on our next episode.
Bye.
You've been listening to This Is MVM with hosts Michelle St. Hill, Vanessa Williams, and Maryann Pyne, executive produced by JudiLew for Vangriot. This Is MVM is recorded in Metro Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. For full episode credits, please visit vangriot.com and be sure to follow at MVM Stories on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for listening. Until next time, continue to be the love.